Jef Rhodes from Them Damn Kings. Let's talk a little bit about the new single, Throw It Away.
Oh man, right on. Yeah, well, it's out now, which is great. I think it came out October 30th, and seems to be getting some pretty good feedback, and it's a great tune, man. I really dig that tune. It was the first one written for the album, and it's just a good rocket little tune, man.
Awesome. So there is a forthcoming album, full length.
There is. It was supposed to come out this year, but we all kind of know what's happened here with the world, and so yeah, it was meant to come out a couple months ago. I'd gotten everything back from the mastering engineer about 10 days before we all went into lockdown. So I think everybody's just kind of scrambled around and tried to figure out what to do next now. And so yeah, we are looking at a springtime of 2021, and the album is called Rise Up.
And we're looking at 10 tracks, 12, 16, any cover songs?
10 tracks, one cover song. It is well, I'm gonna let that one just kind of come out on its own before I talk about that one.
No worries. Is it a bonus or is it part of the 10?
Yeah, it's part of the 10. It was originally going to be, I think, a bonus, and we liked it so much. I was like, nah, this is going on the record. It's an old song, just done a very very Sabbathy kind of way. So it's pretty interesting. It's definitely not not like me to take a love song and turn it into the most darkest thing you could think of,
Very, very cool. It's always nice to hear people make their own interpretation of a song as opposed to, a carbon copy.
Yeah, I hope people like it and they can understand what we're trying to do there.
How many cover songs are part of your repertoire? I mean, if you were to be playing somewhere live and you said, let's just play a bunch of covers for the hell of it, how many could you just whip out?
Oh man, anything Ozzy or Sabbath, a good amount of Motorhead songs. I personally like to play the game, name that tune, just shout out what you want to hear, and I've always been really good about hearing things in my head and just being able to play it, pretty instantaneous. We used to, with my friend, we used to play the, how much beer money can we make, My friend would have all his friends come over and be like, just name a song, man, and he can play it, and they put on a couple seconds of it if I didn't know it, and boom, I just figure it out immediately, and we always stayed very hydrated.
I know that feeling. So how did you first get into music, and what turned you on to, or who turned you on to rock and roll?
Oh man, Ozzy Osbourne. That was it for me. That was back in school, and I was listening to whatever was on the radio at that time. But I remember my friend Michelle had come in and she was like, "You got to hear this, man." And she put on an Ozzy record, and that was it, man. My hair grew long almost instantaneously, and I turned into a prick.
And what was your first rock concert? And have your parents always approved?
Not at first. I think my first real rock concert was it was Van Halen. And it was I don't even remember which concert it actually was, but it was Van Halen, and the next one was Ozzy with it was, I think that was the No More Tours tour, 400 years ago, and he's still going at it. But no, my parents didn't always approve at all. I remember I had gotten acquired which was it Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. And I remember playing that, and my folks were like, "What in the heck is this, kid?" Like, no, I don't. Mr. Brownstone? What, are you kidding me? No. And you know, I just kept forcing it on them. You know, I just turned into me. I started, like I said, I started growing my hair long almost immediately after listening to Ozzy. They didn't really like that. That day, the day I heard the Ozzy, you know, that Ozzy record, I ended up piercing my ear in school and, you know, tried to hide it with a hat. And I remember my folks were like, you know, what's going on under there? And, oh, look, no, you know, our kid's turning into the devil. But, you know, when I got my first guitar, and I think they realized pretty quickly, like, okay, this kid's into it, you know, and basically from then on there, they really supported what I wanted to do and everything from there.
Had you become what your parents originally feared?
No, thank goodness. I think they originally feared that I'd be some schlub wearing a suit at some desk pushing freaking buttons for the rest of my life to get a happy little gold watch at the end of it, you know. So I don't think they wanted me in rock and roll whatsoever, and I definitely don't think that they expected me to be such a free little spirited kid, but you know, I that's not what they wanted, but I know they didn't want the other side of the spectrum for me either. You know, I think I had really great parents, and I think they just really wanted me to be happy at whatever I was doing. And I mean, if that included, you know, pushing pencils at you know, some corporation, as long as I was happy, I think they'd be happy with that. But nonetheless, I think that I think they're happy, you know, with the choices that I've made.
And it's a natural progression to go from dialing in tones on buttons on your amplifier to like a front of house sound guy, right?
It's, you know, I never really meant for that to happen. You know, I always wanted to be in a band. I always wanted to play. That's all I ever wanted, was to just, you know, play music, make records, and be on stage. And I was playing a local club that I used to frequent a lot, and the kid who was running the sound there owned all the gear, and he was looking to get out of the gig. And you know, he sold me everything that was in the club for like, I think like $1,000. You know, it wasn't anything great, but you know, and the club came with clients, so that was pretty cool. So every you know, every Friday and Saturday, I'd go over and I'd run sound for the bands on this gear, and then one thing led to another, and I realized, you know, hey, I can rent this stuff out and make more money, and it just kind of grew from there. And next thing I know, you know, I had a band come through, and they're like, hey, would you be willing to go out on tour with us and do audio? Or, yeah, okay, cool. And next thing you know, 20 years later, you know, you're still doing it like that, you know. But it's really good. Yeah, I think that everybody should really get involved with a lot of, you know, this is the business that I want to be in, and that I am in. I mean, you know, and I think for anybody who really wants to get into, you know, doing it and knowing all aspects of the business you want to be in is, you know, it's a smart way to go.
And a competent sound man is paramount. I mean, it's definitely the fourth or fifth or sixth member of the band. If you don't have a good sound man, or the guy's just, you know, I don't know, still asleep from the night before, then you might as well have not rehearsed at all. Just right.
I've seen it a million times, you know, where it's you know, I've been fortunate to work with some really, really good bands, and you know, being an audio engineer too, it is, I guess, kind of like being the next member of the band. I never really entirely saw it that way. I mean, I get the same feeling when they come out on stage that I do when I come out on stage. You know, it's pretty wild, because it's like anything could go wrong, you know, the board, and it has in the past. Believe me, I've had boards crap out. I've had them shut down. I've had drunk kids puking all over the sound deck. You know, I've had beer thrown at me in the past, you know, that fried out a console. And, you know, but yeah, I've heard a lot of really good bands sound pretty freaking terrible. And I'll tell you, you know, if that's the case, you know, that it can really make or break things for an artist. I think, you know, I mean, who doesn't want to have good sound, you know? And if you're sleeping through it, what the hell, you know?
Absolutely. Now, what was the first music you bought with your own money? And how did you acquire your first instrument?
Oh, man, the first I bought with my own money. That's a real good one. I think it was actually the No More Tears record with Ozzy, though it wasn't exactly, I didn't exactly go in there to purchase it, man. I used to run this scam at the James Way where you'd walk in with your coat, and remember they used to have those like big giant plastic hangers on the CDs. So me and my buds would go in there, and you know, we figured out, oh hey, if you just hook them around your hand and throw your jacket over them and walk it. Well, long story short, I got busted, and I ended up having to pay for the CD anyway to keep myself from going to juvie. So technically, I guess that's the first record I paid for. And then I realized I'll pay for everything after this. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Ozzy, No More Tears. And my first guitar, I got it. It was my dad's guitar, and it was an old Vox. I think it's a stroller is what it's called. I still have it sitting right here, actually. And it's an old Vox stroller, probably from the early 50s. I mean, it's really delicate right now. That's like one of the best clean tones I ever heard. And it was maybe 2 months before Christmas, and I just had that realization that this is what I want to play guitar, man. I need to be playing rock and roll. And yeah, lo and behold, that's what I got for Christmas, and I've never put it down since.
And do you have an extensive instrument and like a record collection?
I have. Well, yeah, I've got 40. I think now I'm at 43 guitars. I just picked up another Gibson a couple weeks ago. I've got a really bad habit with this, and I've always wanted an SG, man, and I finally got an SG, and it's surprisingly like my favorite guitar now. The thing plays super amazing. But yeah, I've got a lot of Gibsons. I got a couple Epiphones, and just a lot of random things I've picked up along the way. Of just like, wow, this thing plays cool and it looks awesome. I'm taking that home, and I got a lot of guitars. And it just I feel bad when I die, man. I don't know who's taking all these things or what they're gonna do. It's gonna be a nightmare.
And are you primarily a Strat guy or a Les Paul guy? I know it's usually one or the other.
I love them both. One thing I don't own is a Fender Strat, and I've always wanted one. So I think you just put that into my head. So I think I'm going to be having a Fender Strat before the end of the year now. But I'm definitely a Les Paul guy. I'm definitely a Les Paul. I used to be an Ibanez guy for most of the time, and I don't know what I sat down one day at a shop and picked up a Gibson, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever, man. And that's been it for me.
What about Telecasters? Have you ever played around with any odd looking things like Jaguars or Telecasters?
Oh, man. I have, and I love them, and I've got a couple. The problem with those, like, I wouldn't really want anything new. I'm definitely I like old guitars. But man, some of the older guitars that I have, they don't get played as often as I'd like, because it's like like a work of art, man. You know, it's just if I had ended up getting a Firebird, it's they're not cheap, and they sound amazing, man, and they look cool, but it's just one of those things. I think I would stare at it more than I'd play it. You know, it's like that hot chick walking down the street. It's like, man, like, God, what I do to you, but God, I can't touch. You're too beautiful. You know.
Yeah, my buddy has a Marshall that was owned by Randy Rhodes, and also he had or has a amp that was owned by Ronnie Montrose. I think he might have given it to somebody. You collect stuff like that?
I do, man. Like, not so much, and I'd give anything for something that Randy Rhodes had, and like I'd build a safe in the freaking house for that, man. I do collect things. I got a couple heads that were used by Gus G, and I got some Laney stuff that Sabbath had used, and it's most of it's pretty crusty. It's kind of hard to get them working back to normal. Finding parts for these amps are not so easy anymore, but it's an expensive habit.
Of course, absolutely.
So it's an expensive habit, and I kind of to me too. Like, as much as I'd love to have it, some of that stuff just it belongs in a museum. So I'd be buying it just to put it on display somewhere and donate it, man. Like, it's just too cool to have. And I'd break it. Man, especially something that Randy, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably sleep with it for a year and then play with it, and ended up breaking it in the end. So.
Do you read reviews of music, film, and food? And are there any reviewers that you care to share that have the same taste as yours?
I don't know too much about that. I don't.
You subscribe to it? I'm sorry.
No. Ask again. I'm sorry.
Do you have you subscribed to magazines over the years?
I have not. I don't really do the magazines too much. I was getting Guitar World for a while, and it's just it's the same thing every month, it seems. So I kind of got bored with it. I miss Hit Parader and all that kind of stuff.
Fanzines.
Yeah, that was always fun stuff. I miss, magazines for me was Mad Magazine and Hit Parader, and what was the other one? Metal Edge. Metal Edge. That was it. Metal Edge. Yeah. Yeah, I still have a whole box full of them downstairs too. So I don't know. Things don't translate with me the way they used to. I guess maybe stuck in the past a little bit, but who knows.
We all have our eras, based on our age, and I think a lot of us like to think that maybe we could, obviously we're young at heart, but the reality is that what was when we were 21 is still dear to our hearts at 41, and that's just the way it is.
It is, I understand that, especially in the moving world the way it is, you kind of got to get up on more of the times here, but that's kind of my whole point with this band too. Is this is what I want. I just want to make rock and roll music, and the older generation can remember and love, and for the new kids, I want them to know a little bit of what that era was like, and it was a good time.
How often do you watch an entire concert on YouTube?
Oh, about every day.
The whole thing?
Every day. Yeah. I'll go and I have a lot of trouble sleeping, so I like to go up and I'll kind of start out with like the 5-second things of like what's happening here, and then it leads into like an old Guns N' Roses concert or a Shinedown concert or one of those things. I think I just watched one of Nine Inch Nails' last concerts just the other night, and it's kind of cool because I've seen Nine Inch Nails quite a few times, and there's really, the live show is it's ridiculous. If you haven't seen Nine Inch Nails out there, like it's a show worth seeing. But it's really cool to watch it on YouTube also because some of the visuals that they have live, you can't really, I guess, fully see or fully grasp in the live show, even though it's insanely amazing. But watching it on YouTube, it's such a different animal, like watching, you know, these things unfold kind of in a different way that you didn't see live, and it's just, wow, you know, that guy can put on a show.
Yeah, what was the last riff you learned by someone else?
Oh man, you know, for all of these years, I never got down on "Bark at the Moon." One of my favorite songs, and I actually just learned it the other day. Surprisingly enough, I for some reason I've stayed away from the Jakey Lee era, and I don't know why. So that I started picking that record up, and that was the first one I learned just yesterday, actually.
Nice. Good to expand your chops, right?
Yeah, man, got to get back to the. You know, it's always been Randy Zach, and I just you know, Bark at the Moon's one of my favorite records too. But for some reason, Jakey's got such a kind of a different style going on, man, and it's really kind of a shame that the Ozzy thing didn't work out with him because that dude he's pretty freaking amazing, and you know, I'm glad Zach came along, but you know, I think Jakey Lee's kind of I don't want to say underrated, but I don't think a lot of people know about him, and they should, man. It's a killer guitar player.
Yeah, I think they you know, we all know about the business dealings of Ozzy and that kind of thing, and I think they just sort of they shelved him and moved on. Moving on is a big part of the way things are, right?
Yeah, it's the only way, you know. I mean, the only reason people dislike change is because you know, is when it's bad, you know. And nobody complains when it's good change, you know. But Zach did. I mean, he was great for Ozzy, and you know, Jakey Lee went off and did Badlands, which was freaking super sick, man. I mean, I was still, you know, I had some crappy stigmata with that too, but you know, it's still nonetheless, Badlands was a great band, and you know, that record was insane, and I got to go see them. I think I saw them at Birch Hill in Jersey, and it was just wild, man. It was loud and it was ripping, and Jakey Lee, man, he could play his freaking face off, you know. And I think he's got a new band called what is it, Red Dragon Cartel? I think that's it, man.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's it. When I can't wait till this world gets back to normal so we can start going to see shows again, man. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's crazy, you know. The world needs it, man. I think that's why everybody's going crazy, you know. You go to see shows to get away from all of what's happening in the world, man, you know.
Well, that, and it's been an election year, which definitely makes things sort of nutty. Does it bother you to hear artists express their opinions on politics? And do you like their music any less if you disagree with them?
You know, I don't know. No, when it comes to music's music. You know, I mean, there's a couple people that I do not get along with whatsoever, and you know, that doesn't mean I like their music any less. I just can hate them as a person, you know. But
sure.
There's still something that comes out of them that's making that music, and you know, I still hold that dear to me, you know. So we don't have to like each other, you know, and I don't have to like you as a person to like, you know, what you are doing or what comes out of you or what you stand for. I mean, as far as politics, the problem with politics is everybody's got their opinion, you know, and I think that, you know, sometimes, you know, opinion should be this, oh, man, you got left, you got right, you got up, you got down, you know, everybody wants to be on this side or that side, and, you know, I think that, you know, trying to sway somebody to your own opinions isn't exactly the right way forward. I think I'm going to take the stance with Megadeth here and say, you know, fuck them all. And, you know, he hates both sides equally, and I'm with Dave Mustaine and Megadeth on that one. Whether his political views have changed now or not, you know, the hell with them all.
On a tour bus, which bunk is the least desirable?
The one I always take. Probably because I've slept in it, but you know, it's funny. I always take the bottom bunk, depending on what side the generator's on, if it's on the left or right, back side of the bus. But I have such terrible, like, tinnitus, man, that, you know, I can't, that's all I hear is just, you know, and I have to have a constant noise. I can't, you know, I've tried listening to music when I fall asleep, and all that does is spin me off into 1,000 different directions. I never sleep if I listen to music because I just want to go make more music. But, so on the bus, I take the noisiest bunk, which is the one right by the generator that nobody else wants, and I sleep like a freaking baby, man.
That's awesome. Well, it's been fun talking to you. We look forward to catching you on the road when the band puts out the album and normalcy returns. Do you have any final thoughts or dirty jokes you'd like to share with anybody that might be listening to or reading this?
You know, honestly, man, I just can't wait to see you all back out there on the road, man, and you know, come on out to the show, and we're gonna have a party, man, because that's what rock and roll is all about, and you know, I just hope to see all you guys down the road.